still dry.
Well, that's good, though.
That's my primary mission today.
Is this table out of the field of view, back a little bit?
Why is Port Orange called Port Orange?
I have no idea. They ain't got no port.
I know.
They ain't got no oranges anymore.
I know.
For some reason, I always confuse Port Orange with Ormond.
Oh.
Why?
Well, at least Ormond's got a beach.
Yeah. Port Orange doesn't have a beach, it doesn't have a port, it doesn't have oranges. That makes no sense.
How you doing?
I grew up in Michigan City.
Are you still thinking of the year?
But it's the Chicagoland area.
It's beginning to look more like January.
Well,
Okay.
I was going to go.
Thank you,
I'm still trying to get everything in place,
It'll be,
but I'm working at it.
it'll be Valentine's Day before you know it.
No. It's not like
Well, I can tell them
There's
to
something.
Margaret, if it's Valentine's Day, I can tell them to kiss my,
But you could.
yeah.
How cool would that be? That would leave who left? Let's see. Meredith? She's still, is she still around?
Michelle's there,
Okay.
McGee,
Okay.
Greg Fox.
Fox will never leave. He'll die there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, that's the 4-H green.
Well,
What is it? It's
Something to the world, I promise temperance and courage.
Yeah.
Gordon Portell's been there about a month.
Seek truth and defend it always.
Pete
so
Dell's on
stupid. I used to always have trouble with like a new chapter, and I'd be like, "This isn't real." My friends would always be like, "She's
Kirby.
not here again."
Mike
I already
Kirby's
know what
still
you're
there.
saying.
Oh,
This
okay,
isn't
wait.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ricky Scarlett.
Hey, Jason.
That's not good.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Ron Gibbons.
He's in such
Still
a
there. I don't know
bad
whether you
mood.
would have run across
Let's get my
him.
tripod.
He's been production for years. But he's a clever dog. Been there, actually been there long enough.
If found, just call 407.
The Ron sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Ron Gibbons.
So, Ron, new gloves.
It's not my
To
normal
mess
one.
with
I
that.
cut it out, so I got one now.
The tripod's broken.
You broke your tripod?
Yeah.
That's not good.
I don't know how.
Remember that one time I left my tripod behind and the governor dropped it off the station?
Governor?
I don't want to touch these things unless I got gloves on.
That was good. Right after he spoke at,
How are you?
He came by himself.
Good.
no, it was like 100 people.
You know Lindsay got married?
Like,
Huh?
we're swinging
Did
through
you,
Orlando.
did you know Lindsay got married?
Yes. That's awesome. Where?
Outside of Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. On a mountain.
It was
That's so
pretty.
Yeah, it was neat. It was a lot of fun.
How long did you guys go up there?
We were up there for a week. Yeah, it was good.
Oh,
this, man?
I don't know,
What
I
is
gave
this?
up. I'm not trying to buy a house and have a wedding at the same time.
This is weird.
I'm not
I
What
don't
is
know how
this?
you're doing.
What?
Buy the house and have the wedding at home.
Honestly, yeah.
There you
Save
go.
some money.
No, you only get married once. Have your wedding.
That's why that house would be so great.
It's not
It
even,
doesn't flood. It has such a big backyard.
Is it by your house?
No, it's not 44, like,
It's right by the, you know where the little ice cream place is?
Frozen Gold.
Frozen Gold?
It's like
Yeah.
almost like 2 doors down.
Remember
Frozen
Olivia?
custard place?
The Frozen Gold.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Her grandma used to own Frozen Gold.
Oh, really?
Way back in the day.
You know, I've never been there. I'm not a big
It's
ice
pretty
cream.
good.
I'm not a big ice
They have good hot dogs.
So does the dairy bar.
I don't do hot dogs either.
No,
The
what?
only time to eat a hot dog is at a baseball game.
I can name
That's the only time I would
plenty
eat a hot
other
dog.
1,000 times to eat a hot dog.
Yeah, that's it.
Fourth of July,
Gotta be a.
Memorial Day, Labor Day,
Yeah.
grilling out for my birthday, grilling out for Mother's Day, grilling out for Father's Day.
I thought you were in Palm Springs for a wedding.
No, Kevin's conference. That would be great.
not sure though.
I know, we're going to Maine this
It's the
weekend.
exact thing.
No,
We're
because
going to
people
Maine
here
this
don't
weekend.
buy,
I can't wait to go.
people here don't buy the
What
beer
game?
at Vienna Beef.
Florida State.
They just buy like the hot dogs.
Who they play?
Yeah, Vienna Beef, like. it's
North
all
Alabama.
Everybody buys Vienna Beef.
But it's just a different style.
But it's our last home game of the year.
My mom's parlor does not sell anything besides pure Vienna Beef.
Well, it sounds like you need to get a bigger ring and call yourself Vinci, because that sounds crazy.
That's just what people do in the Chicagoland area. But here you can't find them anywhere.
What?
You gotta find a good one. There's some down in Brevard.
The pure Vienna Beef.
Really good.
Usually you go get a hot
Chicago
dog
dogs.
and they don't have, they're just like hot dogs.
Oh, there's this place called Mustard Glass Stand.
And they
down
have
in
Vienna
Brevard.
Beef.
And as opposed to a hot dog that's not a hot dog?
It's
What
not
are you
Vienna
talking
Beef.
about?
She doesn't like your average Nathan's dog.
No.
There's a wine bar in St. Pete, and they have, all they serve is wine and hot dogs.
That's my dream.
Why didn't we think of
I
that?
know.
What?
I just want to open a corn dog stand. That's gonna be my job. Once we get rich off of something. Win the
No,
lottery.
because that's another thing. My mom thought her dream was to own like an ice cream parlor, and that's what she did with her time. She has nothing else to do. And she opened an ice cream parlor, and they have food and all kinds of stuff, and it's super cute. And she's like, it is the worst decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah. The restaurant is
It sucks. It's horrible.
Too many hours.
Too many
Yeah.
hours. You
You're
can't
working.
rely on anyone to work for you.
correct. No. It's gonna be me. I'm gonna be like the ice cream truck lady with just hot dogs and corn dogs.
Her place is so cute. too.
There's an ice cream truck that's been running around my neighborhood lately.
Really?
Mhm.
I haven't seen one in so long.
But it's like, it's not even an ice cream truck, it's like a sprinter van. But,
Oh,
hey.
you should
Well,
have
that's
a
cute.
chance. No,
In
you
your
gotta
truck,
have the
like
old
cable
school
reel gloves.
van, looks like it
one.
kidnapped you with a couple drawings.
I have like big.
And that is an
Not
ice
right
cream
now.
truck.
I tried to walk in
Boy.
apart. I can't grab it.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
grab
Come
it.
on inside.
It's
Yeah.
spinning all
You want
The
some candy?
sketchier it looks, the better.
carbon fiber. The bear is
Oh, yeah, I got some of those gloves.
I can't grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what's wrong with it.
Just put your camera on and see what happens.
Yeah. Break the tripod.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sit on the floor and hold it down.
I'll sit on the floor and hold it.
But then you need to move your chair closer to that side of the tripod.
I know.
Jason, you get down there and I'll get up and I'll put it on. We'll see what happens. Just try. Just try to put it on. Oh, yeah, they're gonna be on.
You need to
What
work.
are we gonna do with these?
I think you know where a garbage can is, but it doesn't matter what.
So what's the problem, Jason?
I was thinking of you, Ava.
This joint
Great touch.
is
Anytime.
fall off.
You want me to get that one?
Pretty damn hard.
Hey, Greg. Good, how are you?
Nasty.
But it works.
Subway. Hey, we're going Subway.
One of the worst lines ever.
The worst what?
Lines.
Walk out of extra, I got
Good
it.
gas. 6.
What is your problem?
Yeah, what is this deal?
I'm getting,
Are you two straight with this?
I can't stream from in here, I can't get a signal.
I didn't realize you're our sister station.
Oh, yeah. They asked for stream.
Good, you need anything?
We have a wireless, got it short and the receivers.
You do know the video? The one that has?
No, that I don't have.
Come see us out there, truck.
Okay, I appreciate it, man.
No, we have no one from there. And then we just have to stop this forward.
You got a signal in here now?
Yeah, they've done, I know,
What happened?
they did something.
What?
I don't know, whatever y'all did with the, with the internet in here.
Jason.
Oh, yeah, we have a special Wi-Fi for that.
Is there anything?
No. And they have us on this at 5 and 6.
Mark will explain it to me, they did,
You did all the crap for it.
they did something to boost the internet inside.
I mean, how long is this gonna be? Can't be that long.
I can't believe they did that to us.
Did what?
Where's
They
the
made
5
us
and
go-
6?
No, and then they make us go to the beach and shoot the shots on the beach, and they're not using it.
Change your mind.
Well, you needed practice, right?
I love practice.
Yeah.
I love practice.
Can I say some news? And it's, 61.
And can you feed?
32
Oh, they said they're gonna put it somewhere in the file.
Hmm?
They're gonna put it
Right
somewhere in the
after
file.
you.
Thank you, thank you.
We're live here at 5 and 6.
Awesome.
Ready to get water or anything?
In front of the building. They don't remember the camera. Yeah.
Hell no.
Huh?
Oh, hell no. Where's that at?
Port Orange.
Where?
It's Maine, it's Woodman, because Kevin, he's working in Sanford. It's like off Madeline, kind of. Who's looking at everything, right?
There's a house like 2 doors down from Orange.
In Port Orange? Where does he live?
Scott Street.
Where's that?
Like, it's kind of right behind the post office on top of like the streets we're at.
Why is Port Orange
That's
called
what's
Port
here.
Orange?
Don't go there.
Really nice
Someone
house.
find the answer.
Why is Port Orange called Port Orange?
It used to be a some kind of orange bowl or something.
They ain't got no ports. They ain't got no ports, they got no oranges.
I've never understood the math.
It's like my hometown makes no sense. My hometown is called Michigan City. It's in Indiana, but it's part of the Chicagoland area.
North Orange.
Makes no goddamn sense.
Just you gotta pull the plug maps and put it in and shoot it there.
There used to be a North Port there.
There used to be something for Orange. I don't know where.
I just realized it's people.
I've never liked these. I've always had these type legs. Even though, I mean, the only problem I've had with these is like one of these pops off. These, the whole gosh darn thing comes
Yeah, we used to have get suits.
parallel all the time.
And they were, yeah, they were the same type of thing. These are easy to use, but they're heavy as hell.
That's the only problem.
There we are.
There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Anybody need a white page?
Yes, sir.
I'm a full-service sheriff for you.
I like that. There'll be some in your Christmas stocking, Sheriff.
All right, I'll send my bill later. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where's Detective Gordon? Come on up. All right, so first I want to thank you for being here today. I'm joined by 7th Judicial Circuit State Attorney R.J. Larizza and Major Case Detective Catherine Gordon. We're here to provide you with an update on the shooting death of an 18-month-old Jalea Allen. It was a tragic case. You may remember reporting it on September 3rd. So on September 3rd, 2023 at 11:45 p.m., the Sheriff's Office 911 Center received a hysterical call reporting a shooting at 2 Rainwood Lane in Palm Coast. Upon deputies' arrival, they found a number of people in the front yard with one individual holding a small child that had been tragically shot in the head. Flagler County Fire Rescue and Palm Coast Fire Department administered emergency aid, but sadly, Jalea died at the hospital. I want to commend both the fire departments for doing everything they could to save her life. These are the most tragic cases that first responders have to handle and investigate. At the same time, other deputies were conducting an exigent search of the home for their safety and to look for other victims or suspects. So you can imagine very quickly you don't really know what's going on and what had just occurred. Deputies observed a trail of blood in the home and noticed that the shower was on running water. They also observed others in the home in various bedrooms moving about. Our major case detectives, along with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement CSI team, responded and began the investigation. This was a difficult investigation, and I'll tell you why. Everyone that was at that home gave conflicting statements as to what occurred. The statements, frankly, did not match the evidence. While deputies and paramedics were responding, we believe others in the home were doing their best to destroy and move evidence. They were more interested in, frankly, saving their ass than saving the life of a small, innocent child or holding a killer accountable for his actions. During the initial investigation and search warrant, we recovered illegal narcotics and an American tactical multi-caliber pistol from the home. At the time of the shooting, I told you I was confident we would get to the bottom of what happened and the person that killed this innocent child would be held accountable. After a 2-month investigation conducted by our major case unit with assistance from the State Attorney's Office Homicide Investigation Unit, FDLE CSI, in their crime lab, our Sheriff's Office PACE unit, Problem Area Crime Enforcement Team, our Real-Time Crime Center, and many others, and using every investigative tool, technology, DNA, fingerprints, blood analysis, and much more, here's what we determined occurred. The child's mother was going to take a shower, and it turned on the shower, but the water was too hot, so she was playing with Jalea in the hallway while waiting for the water to cool down. During this mother-daughter playtime, a shot was fired that went through a bedroom wall and struck little Jalea in the head. We determined that C.J. Nelson was impaired and high on THC at the time of the shooting and handling the firearm. I want to make a note here and point this out, that we are often criticized for arresting people for marijuana and doing search warrants on marijuana, so because it's so harmless. Well, here's a prime example on why marijuana and THC is not harmless. In this case, it ultimately led to the death of an 18-month-old. C.J. Nelson Jr. DNA and fingerprints were on the gun that we recovered, which is this gun. We determined during the investigation, we found social media posts of C.J. Nelson holding the gun that was used to kill this child while trying to be, frankly, a punk gangster is what he was trying to be. And I think this photo shows that. Using other investigative measures, we were able to determine that C.J. Nelson Jr. had been handling the gun and showing it off in the bedroom when it discharged. So as you can see from this investigation, I've really synopsized it for you. We left no rock unturned in this investigation and worked hard to disprove all the lies we had been told. I commend our major case unit and lead detective Gordon, her partners, and our other agencies that assisted us for their help investigating this case. I especially want to thank FDLE Special Agent in charge of Jacksonville Region, Mike Williams, for having the FDLE Crime Lab move this case up quickly so that this investigation would not be delayed. They're a very busy crime lab, and I reached out to him, and he moved it up. We provided our case to the state attorney, and yesterday, November 15th, the grand jury returned a true bill, and an arrest warrant was issued charging C.J. Nelson with manslaughter with a firearm. This is C.J. in his booking photo. So he was charged with manslaughter with a firearm. He had actually been arrested. He was actually arrested last night on this warrant at the Sheriff Perry Hall Inmate Detention Facility by Detective Gordon, where he had been held since the night of the shooting. That night, we had arrested him for violation of probation. C.J. Nelson, whose date of birth is 10/29/2001, had been arrested by our agency on November 3rd, 2022, for carrying a concealed firearm and possession of marijuana under 20 grams. He was still on probation at the time of the deadly shooting and was not supposed to be in possession of firearms or drugs. He's currently being held on no bond. He was held on no bond prior to that on the violation charge. So that is a synopsis of a slightly over a 2-month investigation by our team, and I'd now like to turn it over to our state attorney, R.J. Lorenzo.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm a little short, so I'll pull them down a little bit. The defendant was charged with manslaughter with a firearm, and that is a first-degree felony punishable by up to 30 years in the state prison system. Manslaughter is different than second-degree murder or first-degree murder. It doesn't require an intentional shooting, but it does require gross negligence or culpable negligence, and that's what we believe the facts indicated in this particular case. We will move forward now that the indictment has been filed. The defendant will go through the process and either enter a plea or have a trial regarding the charges. You know, one thing that I'd like to say is, we're a society that believe in gun ownership, and I'm certainly one of those individuals, and we respect the Second Amendment, but we also have to respect the deadly nature of firearms if they're not handled properly. And while some folks might think that an accidental shooting is just that and won't ever lead to criminal charges, you're wrong. A lot depends on the facts and circumstances, and I certainly commend the Sheriff's Office and their hard work, and I appreciate our participation in it as well. But there comes a time, and there's a line where handling a firearm or using a firearm in a reckless manner and it results in injury or harm, that you can be held accountable criminally for that. And so I just encourage folks that own firearms and other weapons, long guns, please see that they're properly secured. Don't handle firearms when you're intoxicated, whether it's alcohol, whether it's marijuana, or even if you're on prescription medication. Guns and alcohol, guns and drugs do not mix. They make a deadly combination.
Thank you, RJ. And I just want to thank the State Attorney's Office. They've been with us during this entire investigation and taking this to the grand jury yesterday to see what the grand jury would do with all the evidence. And I think the grand jury spoke loud and clear. So I appreciate our State Attorney and he didn't mention it, but he has a Young Gun Initiative, and this offender certainly qualifies for that. You'll hear more about that, I think, coming up in the next few weeks probably. But we'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Has anybody else been charged? You said some people are trying to destroy evidence, conceal it.
So no one else is charged at this point. There is still a continuing investigation, and if we can build the case, we have a pretty good suspect on who we think was trying to clean up the crime scene while a baby was dying in the front yard and trying to protect people from being arrested. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of that.
Sheriff, what exactly was he doing with the gun when it went off?
Well, I'm going to let Detective Gordon give you that, so I make sure I get it right. So, Catherine.
Through the multiple statements that we obtained, it appears that he may have been attempting to unjam the firearm or manipulate the firearm.
And another question I had too, obviously that looks like a AR-style pistol, and I remember you saying that he was on probation. I'm assuming it's felony probation, which meant he was not supposed to be in possession of a firearm to the get-go. Has there been any testing done to find out if that gun was stolen or if it's been used in other crimes?
So the firearm itself was tested by the FDLE crime lab. It's not reported stolen. That doesn't mean it isn't stolen, because so many people get guns stolen, they report it, but they don't have a serial number.
This gun was a multi-caliber gun, I think someone said?
Correct. So it's a very unique gun. Is it still here? So it can handle, it's probably one of the reasons why it jammed, because it can handle different caliber size of ammunition, from something very small to something very big. So it's a very unique gun. Frankly, it's not a gun that I would own, just for that reason. I don't want a gun that can jam. But if you're trying to be a dirtbag and pretend that you're a gangster and stuff, you want something that looks pretty mean, and whatever ammo you can find laying around, it would fire it.
Was Nelson related to Julia?
Was he related to the child? Not that I'm aware of, right?
He is the uncle of the victim.
What were all the people doing in the house? I mean, did they all live there?
So most of them lived there. Most of them quickly moved out after this incident. It was a rental house. And during the time of the incident, most of them were outside. After the incident, they went outside. If you listen to the 911 calls and what the deputies found when they got there, it was a pretty chaotic scene. But surprisingly, there were some people still inside the house that were coming out of different bedrooms and going into different bedrooms and trying to contaminate, destroy the evidence. We believe some evidence was removed, those kind of things.
How much THC was detected in the suspect's blood, and were there any other drugs, legal or otherwise, that were found in the system?
So we did do a blood draw with a search warrant on the suspect. I don't have the exact THC amount because it has to go through a secondary review before at least that's strong enough for the court case. What I can tell you is that it was described to me as there was a significant amount of THC in his system that clearly was could provide impairment.
And any other substances detected?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was that his gun?
Yes.
Has he ever admitted to any of it, or just the evidence that speaks for itself?
The evidence speaks for itself. You know, it still has to go to trial, so I don't want to get into all his statements. I guess what I will tell you is last night when when Detective Gordon served him with the arrest warrant, he denied even being at the house, and we know that's a flat out lie.
You said that, earlier on, you said that other people, it appeared other people were maybe possibly trying to destroy some of the evidence. Is it safe to say that this is still an ongoing investigation and that there may be pending charges against those others that were in the home?
It is still an ongoing investigation for additional charges for people for tampering with evidence. We have a suspect that we believe did it, or suspects, I should say, and but we'd love to put them in jail today, last week, 2 months ago, but that takes the evidence. And remember, we have to also remember there has to be a prosecution here too, and so sometimes you have to make decisions because you need that testimony too. So there are a lot of different moving parts. So this is the first phase. Now it's the state attorney's office, and but as far as evidence tampering, we're still continuing that investigation.
And you said when this gun went off, it went through a wall, struck this child.
That's correct. Yeah.
Did Nelson show any remorse at all?
If you'd like to answer that. You've been communicating with him.
In my personal opinion, no. And that's only because he's denying being inside the residence when it happened.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think an email went out. Oh, it did? Yeah. My reporter.
You want the picture?
Yeah, I would love
I'm
to.
gonna send them out.
Okay. You have to make sure you get my,
I think I have it. Do you guys want a copy of the indictment?
Nobody said anything. I don't.
Y'all have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too.
Of course. We have enough. Molly doesn't need one.
What?
Do you need one? She doesn't.
Not that I got into that much more information.